You know, there's a skill that feels almost like a superpower in our crazy, fast-paced world, and that's patience. But I'm not talking about just sitting around and waiting for things to happen. We're going to reframe patience as what it really is, an active, powerful, and totally strategic tool for winning in this age of instant everything. So, let's dive in. Okay, let's start with a gut punch from entrepreneur Gary Vaynerchuk. He says our constant need for things to happen right now isn't just some minor personality flaw. He's saying it's actively destroying our chances at success and happiness. That's a huge claim, right? But honestly, the data suggests he might be onto something big.
8 seconds. What is that? Well, according to studies, that's the average attention span of a human being today. But here's the part that'll really get you. Back in the year 2000, it was 12 seconds. We have literally been conditioned by our culture to be impatient, and it is fundamentally rewiring our brains.
Now, if you feel your own attention span slipping, listen, you're not alone. And the good news, it's probably not your fault. We're living through a cultural epidemic, what some people are calling an expectations crisis. It's fueled by tech, on-demand everything, instant notifications. They've created a world where we expect instant results, and reality just can't keep up.
And this culture of now comes with a pretty steep price. See, every time we get that instant reward, we're training our brain's impulsive hot system, which just makes us less and less able to handle any kind of delay. This creates a really nasty domino effect. First, you feel that spark of frustration, which quickly flares into anger, and can even lead to despair, where you just give up on your goals. It chips away at our ability to think deeply, and it even messes up our relationships because we're not willing to put in the slow, patient work of building a real connection.
So, how do we fight back? Well, first, we need to get crystal clear on what patience actually is. And you might be surprised to hear the best way to do that is to start with what it isn't. See, at its heart, patience is not passive at all. It's an active, disciplined skill. It's the ability to look a tough situation in the eye, a delay, a difficult person, a major setback, and consciously choose how you respond emotionally. It's not about doing nothing. It's about creating that internal calm you need to act wisely.
First, let's be clear. Patience is not the same as perseverance. Think of it like this. Patience is the high-quality emotional fuel in your tank. It's the inner strength that keeps you cool and focused. Perseverance is the engine itself, the action you take day in and day out. Patience is what makes perseverance possible. Without it, you're just burning out, spinning your wheels in frustration.
Now, this one is a really crucial distinction. Patience is active. It's strategic. You're putting up with a delay because you still fully believe you're going to hit your goal. Tolerance, though, that's when patience kind of sours. It's when you start just passively putting up with something you know isn't working. It's a quiet little surrender, basically an admission that you've given up on the goal.
And finally, patience is the absolute, total opposite of resignation. They're not even in the same ballpark. Patience is a power move. It's hopeful. You're like a predator in the grass, waiting, watching, getting ready to make your move. Resignation, that's just admitting defeat. It's throwing up your hands and giving away all your power. Okay, so we know what it is and what it isn't. Now let's pop the hood and see what's actually happening on a biological level. Because this isn't just some philosophical idea. It's a very real tug-of-war happening inside your brain every single day.
At the center of it all, you've got two systems battling it out. In one corner is your hot limbic system. This is your emotional hub, the part that screams, "I want it now." In the other corner, you have your cool prefrontal cortex. Think of this as your brain's CEO, the part responsible for logic, long-term planning, and self-control. Every single moment of temptation is a showdown between these two.
And if we zoom in even closer, you can see it's like a whole executive team at work. You've got the manager that slaps down your impulsive urges, the analyst that weighs the long-term value of a choice, and even a chemical messenger that sends out memos saying, "Hey, this is worth waiting for." Real patience is just a sign that this team is communicating really, really well.
And this leads us to a fascinating secret about dopamine. We usually think of it as the big prize, right? The burst of pleasure you get at the finish line. But the science shows that for patients, what really matters is the steady trickle of dopamine while you're waiting. It's the sustained signal that tells your brain, hey, stick with it. This is going to be worth it. You could almost say it's the neurochemical for hope. So now for the part that's a total game changer. Knowing the science is awesome, but applying it is everything. Because here's the twist. Patience isn't always the right move.
The real skill is knowing when to be patient, and, just as important, knowing when to be impatient. This is a brilliant framework from the thinker Sandeep Maheshwari. He says to think of any project in 2 phases. Phase 1 is before you have a clear signal that something is working. In this phase, you need to be wildly impatient. Hustle, test things, pivot fast. Your only goal is to find that signal. But then comes phase 2. This is after you get the signal. You land the client, the experiment works, you get proof of concept. That's when you flip the switch and become deeply, deeply patient to scale, build, and play the long game.
So here's the bottom line. When you're starting something new, a business, a skill, whatever, impatient action is your superpower. Don't let yourself fall into the trap of being patient when what you really need to be doing is moving fast and breaking things. Find the signal first, then you can settle in for the long haul.
And the best part of all this, patience isn't something you're just born with. It's a skill, it's a muscle. And right now, we're going to build your toolkit so you can start strengthening that muscle today.
Okay, the simplest, most powerful tool in the box is just mindful breathing. And this isn't some mystical, clear your mind thing. It's super practical. All you're doing is focusing on the physical feeling of your breath. That simple act creates a pause, a tiny little space between what happens to you and how you react. And in that little space, that's where you find the power to choose patience.
Now, beyond just breathing, you can come at this from 3 different angles. You have the mindfulness approach, like we just talked about, creating that pause. Then there's the cognitive approach, where you actively tell yourself a different story, reframing a frustration as an opportunity. And finally, you've got the philosophical approach, straight from the Stoics. Just accept what you can't control and put all your energy into what you can, your response.
And really, it all comes back to this powerful idea you find in Buddhist teachings. True patience isn't born from weakness or fear. It is the exact opposite. It's a conscious, deliberate choice you make from a position of absolute strength. It's knowing you could lash out, you could get angry, but you choose to endure it with calm resolve instead. So let's make this real. I want to leave you with a little challenge. Instead of running away from frustration, lean into it. Start seeing it as a workout. A slow driver, a lagging website, a long red light. Think of those as reps. What is one small annoyance today that you can use as your personal gem to start building this superpower?